Imagine it's the 1950s. A picture-perfect morning in the American suburbs. Your kid comes home from school, buzzing with excitement about joining a new science club. You're handed an official letter promising free nutrition, vitamin supplements, and even free movie tickets. You smile, thinking the government finally has your back. But at that very moment, in high-security labs at MIT, scientists are lacing your child's breakfast cereal with radioactive isotopes. In their secret ledgers, your kid isn't a human being anymore. They're just lab rat number 7. This isn't some wild conspiracy theory. This is the opening chapter of one of the darkest biological scandals in US history, a secret kept under lock and key for over 40 years. It all started within the cold, sterile walls of the Walter Fernald School in Massachusetts. It was supposed to be a state-run sanctuary for children with intellectual disabilities, but in reality, it became a scientific slaughterhouse. Under the guise of that science club, 73 innocent children were fed milk and cereal spiked with radioactive calcium and iron. Researchers wanted to watch, in real time, as atomic materials literally dissolved these children's bones from the inside out. Those parents had no idea that when they signed those consent forms, they were actually signing their children's death warrants. But the nightmare at Fernald was just the tip of the iceberg. While those kids were being poisoned at school, a different kind of horror was unfolding in the dim hallways of public hospitals across the country. Picture yourself going in for a simple broken bone or a routine prenatal checkup. A doctor, with a reassuring smile, tells you that you need a nutritional booster shot. But what was actually flowing through that syringe was plutonium-239, the single most toxic substance known to man. In a clandestine project, 18 unsuspecting patients were injected with lethal doses of plutonium, just so the government could see how long it took a living human body to excrete the ingredients of an atomic bomb. One victim was lied to and told he had cancer just so they could perform these tests. He spent years in agonizing bone pain, his body literally rotting from within, while not a single doctor was allowed to tell him why. But perhaps the most cold-blooded part of this story is when they targeted the most vulnerable, mothers and their unborn babies. At Vanderbilt University, over 800 low-income pregnant women were given what they were told were vitamin cocktails. The truth was far more sinister. Those drinks were laced with radioactive iron. Scientists were desperate to know how fast radiation could cross the placenta and reach a developing fetus. They were essentially running atomic tests on humans who hadn't even taken their first breath. The results of this ruthless curiosity weren't written in medical journals. They were written on headstones years later, as those mothers watched their children die from rare cancers and tumors that science couldn't explain. The cruelty eventually spilled out of the labs and into the streets. In a mission called Project Cherry Blossom, the military released swarms of mosquitoes infected with yellow fever and dengue into impoverished, predominantly black neighborhoods. People were sitting in their own homes, getting bitten by insects dropped from the sky by their own government. When the fever and the screams started, government doctors didn't offer treatment. They just stood by, clipboards in hand, taking notes on the mortality rates for their final reports. It took decades for this mountain of depravity, hidden under the veil of national security, to finally see the light. In 1993, a relentless journalist named Eileen Wellsome dug through classified archives, uncovered the real names of the victims, and shook the world. The public outcry became so deafening that in 1995, President Bill Clinton had to stand before the cameras and issue a formal apology. He admitted that the United States government had crossed every moral and human line imaginable. The government paid out settlements, and the files were closed. But as the dust settles on this history, one chilling question remains. If they were capable of this half a century ago with limited technology, what is happening today behind the closed doors of top-secret labs involving AI, genetics, and nanotechnology? How many more years will we have to wait before today's classified truths finally haunt us?